Scott Holiday here, and welcome back to Plus 2 Wrestling. They said it couldn't be done. They said it shouldn't be done. But we made it to episode 2 of Plus 2 Wrestling, where I talk about the world of professional wrestling, where I'll be and where you can hear my wonderful voice, and maybe a little bit of chit-chat about the holidays. So let's get started, and let's plug in. This Sunday, November 20th, it is CZW Live at Studio Z. That's 110 Harmon Drive in Blackwood, New Jersey, where you will see the number 1 ranked Aaron Ash take on Action Andretti. In a best of the best qualifying match, Fred Yeha takes on Isaiah Wolf. And in a 3-way dance, we got Ryo versus Matt Quay versus Sebastian Cage. So be sure to join us at CZW Live. The doors open at 5, the bell rings at 6, and the beer is free. Did I read that right? There's free beer at CZW if you buy a ticket? Yeah? Awesome! Join us for free beer and fantastic professional wrestling at Studio Z for CZW Live. So last week we talked about what I consider the worst title in all of professional wrestling, the 24/7 title. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the most prestigious titles in all of professional wrestling, and that being the ROH World Heavyweight Championship, currently held by the Ocho, Chris Jericho. And I'm going to be honest with you, this might be my favorite world title run of Chris Jericho. I'm enjoying this more than the Undisputed run. I'm enjoying this more than the Shawn Michaels rivalry run. I'm really enjoying this one, and I love the idea that he is going to show that sports entertainment is better than professional wrestling. This is kind of what they were going for and failed to do with Vince McMahon as the ECW title holder. Basically, the worst person possible holding what was supposed to be an extreme title. Now you have what is supposed to be a wrestler's wrestler title being held by a sports entertainer. And I love that he is going through all the ROH champions. And now, at Full Gear, he's going to face off against Daniel Bryan, Claudio Castagnoli, and Sammy Guevara. And God, does Chris Jericho need to win that title. He needs to keep it. Please don't let Danielson or Claudio, or God forbid, Sammy Guevara take that title off of Chris Jericho, because I'm not ready for this to end. I need to see more matches with Chris Jericho versus various ROH champions. It does beg the big question that I want to answer here today. Who should be the one to defeat Chris Jericho? So let's go through the list. First, we have who he's already beaten. He's already beaten Daniel Bryan, which it's starting to look like that's going to be the person who beats Chris Jericho. I would not be surprised if Daniel Bryan gets screwed out of the title at Full Gear, and then at Final Battle, we get Chris Jericho versus Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson rather. It's the same person, in a one-on-one matchup for the ROH Championship. But we've already seen that. We've already had Chris Jericho beat Bryan Danielson. We don't need to do it again. I also don't want it to be Claudio. Claudio just had his first reign with it. It wasn't an impressive reign. He didn't get to do a lot with the title, but I think that's why it shouldn't be him. It should be someone who has prestige in ROH. He's already beaten Dalton Castle as well. He's beaten Bandito, and he beat Colt Cabana. I love all 3 of those men, but they've already been beaten, so they don't get another shot. Also, he's already destroyed Jerry Lynn. We are unfortunately not going to get a Jerry Lynn match. I love Jerry Lynn, but I think his time is over inside the ring, which is a shame because he really never got his due. But as much of a dream match it would be, he is past his prime, so we have to move past him. And real quick, let's just get the ones that are definitely not going to happen. Like, this is some fantasy booking if we're being honest with what this video is, but there are some that are outside the stems of reality. So we are not going to see CM Punk. We're just not. We're unfortunately not going to see Nigel McGuinness, which would be really fun. We are not going to see Tyler Black. We are not going to see Roderick Strong. We're not going to see Kevin Steen. We are not going to see James Gibson. And no, we are not going to see Cody. We're also not going to see Xavier, RIP, as fun as that would be. We're also not going to see a few other more questionable people. We're not going to see Jay Briscoe based off of the relationship with the Briscoes and AEW. We are not going to see Michael Elgin. We are probably not going to see Austin Aries. And we are probably not going to see Low Ki. I mean, maybe. But no. But maybe. But no. But maybe. But no. But maybe. So who are we going to see? Who are the people that it's very important Chris Jericho has a match with before losing this title? First and foremost, Rush. Rush has been sitting right there, and Rush needs something to do now that we've lost Andrade. Probably. So why not have Chris Jericho versus Rush? I know that they're both on the heel side of things right now, but Rush needs something to do, and I don't think Rush has been given the chance to really shine, and a match with Chris Jericho would really make Rush look good. So please, I can't believe it hasn't happened yet. Let's get Chris Jericho versus Rush. Next, Matt Taven. Of course we need Matt Taven. Matt Taven is new to the AEW roster now that he's joined with Honor No More on the AEW's brand, so we need to see what Matt Taven can do. Again, I don't think he's the person that should be taking the belt off of Chris Jericho, but I think Matt Taven needs a big introduction to the AEW crowd to really show that Matt Taven is a person to watch. I think Matt Taven is a future world champion, so let's give him a little bit of light now, and let's show the world what Matt Taven can do, even if he doesn't beat Chris Jericho. Next, Homicide. Remember when Homicide showed up in AEW for like a moment? Like he was a surprise run-in, and he came in and he did some stuff and then he vanished. Where's my Homicide match? And more importantly, where's my Homicide versus Chris Jericho match? Another fun thing we've been doing with Chris Jericho during this whole run is we're seeing different incarnations of Chris Jericho. We've seen Lionheart Chris Jericho. We've seen Painmaker Chris Jericho. We need proud Canadian Chris Jericho because we need to see the Canadian Chris Jericho versus the American Wolves. I don't know if we could do both. I don't know if it should be a triple threat match, but Eddie Edwards and Davey Richards need some time in AEW. It would make me so happy. I know they have a great working relationship with TNA, so please, let's get some American Wolves versus Canadian Chris Jericho going. And then finally, these are the two matches that if you don't do it, you are a fool. Like, if the storyline is Chris Jericho is facing ROH champions, there are two people that Chris Jericho is required to face. I don't think they'll take the title off of him, but I would really love to see it. And that first name is Christopher Daniels. We have never seen Chris Jericho versus the Fallen Angel. And the door for that match happening is slowly closing. And if this whole thing isn't just an excuse to stick those two in a ring together, then what are we doing? So please, Christopher Daniels versus Chris Jericho. The Chris battle. It writes itself. And finally, and I know this is just for me, and I know it's not like super important we have this, but come on. Chris Jericho versus PCO. You know you want to see that match. So those are just the people he's having good matches with. Who beats Chris Jericho? And I think all the signs are pointing to Bryan Danielson, which I understand. But I'd also like to point out the fact that when ROH was originally bought by Tony Khan, what we saw a match between Bryan Danielson and Christopher Daniels. Bryan Danielson disrespected the Code of Honor and kicked Christopher Daniels' head in. He is anti-ROH in that moment. He should join Chris Jericho. He shouldn't be the one that dethrones him. He should join Chris Jericho after Full Gear. He should become a sports entertainer. We should have him doing the yes chants and hugging it out after that. Doesn't that idea just get under your skin? That's the point. I love it. So who then beats Chris Jericho? My first pitch, Samoa Joe. Now, this has been damaged a little bit with what's going on with Wardlow and Powerhouse Hobbs, with Joe turning heel kind of out of nowhere, but more just because they didn't have anything to do with him. But I kind of would like to see the television title of ROH and the world title maybe unified. I think that would be a scary thing to see, the idea of Chris Jericho taking all the titles. And I really love Samoa Joe. And I also think we need less titles on AEW television. So I think combining these two might be a good move overall and make the titles mean a little bit more. Because right now, where does the television title rank in terms of other titles? Like, I would say it's definitely below, like, the TNT Championship. And it's supposed to be a TV title. He should be defending it constantly. So if he's not going to do that, then we don't need the title. So let's just combine them and put the world champion on Joe. It's been a real long time since I saw Samoa Joe as world champion, and we should fix that. But that's not my big choice. I'd also like to throw out Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal was one of the greatest ROH champions. I believe he holds the record for longest reign. I should have Googled it, but I didn't. And on top of that, there's been little subtle things changing in Jay Lethal. They seem to have kind of gone back on it and doubled down on heel Jay Lethal in this feud with Darby Allin, now that we have Jeff Jarrett involved for some reason. But there was that one brief moment where Jay Lethal offered a handshake to Darby Allin. I think that was a good first step in Jay Lethal starting to remember who he used to be. He used to be Mr. ROH. And now Sanjay Dutt and Santam Singh, I said his name wrong, but I probably can't say it correctly. They're the ones messing with him. They're the ones taking away the greatness that used to be Jay Lethal. What a great way to wake him back up. Let's give him the opportunity to save ROH and get that title off of Chris Jericho. And let's make Jay Lethal the man we all know he is. Other opportunity I want to bring up. We haven't seen him in a while. I don't know when he's going to be good to go. Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole held the title 3 times. Let's make it 4. He is one of the winningest ROH champions. So a match between Chris Jericho and Adam Cole would really brighten my day. It's something that I definitely want to see. There's a lot of Chris Jericho in Adam Cole. But if I'm being honest, I'd much rather see that match and watch Adam Cole fail. And then have Chris Jericho lose to Kyle O'Reilly. Yes, this way we can reignite the feud between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. And yes, we did already see that in ROH. And yes, we saw it in NXT. And it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. But I want to see it again. I want to see it done right. And I want to see it done on a big stage. So I really like the idea of the story being Adam Cole failed, Kyle O'Reilly achieves, and Adam Cole can't handle it. So those are all fun ideas, but they're not my number one choice. My number one choice of who should beat Chris Jericho is someone that I still think is underestimated, but one of the greatest professional wrestlers working today. And that man is Jonathan Gresham. Now, I know we're in this land of fantasy and make-believe because of all the problems that Jonathan Gresham had backstage when it came to dropping the title to Claudio. But let's fix it. Because let's be real. For what happened with Claudio in the title, we really shouldn't have had Jonathan Gresham dropping the title. Why couldn't Jonathan Gresham be the one that dropped the title to Chris Jericho if that's how fast we were going to be jumping around this title? Jonathan Gresham put the title on his back and went and defended it all over the indies, so ROH was still alive when it was on hiatus. Give that man the credits that's due. I want to see the Lionheart versus the Octopus, and I want to see Jonathan Gresham hold that title high over his head. So that's my pitch. I'm going with Jonathan Gresham as my number one choice, then Kyle O'Reilly, then Jay Lethal, then Samoa Joe. I don't think it needs to be Danielson. I don't think it should be Claudio. And it can't be Sammy. Please no. Who do you think should beat Chris Jericho for that ROH championship? Leave your ideas in the comments down below. And now, I forgot to do this last week. It's holiday time. Friday the 18th is Push Button Phone Day. Gather around, children, as Old Man Scott Holiday tells you that back in the day our phones weren't just screens, they had buttons on them, and we pushed them, and that's how we communicated, and we liked it. You don't know anything about our T9 system. That was my old man voice. On Saturday, the 19th, it is National Blow Bagpipes Day. I can play the bagpipes. Would you like to hear it? Ready? You chose to watch this, and I appreciate that. You think I'm funny, and you appreciate the things that I do for you. Sunday, November 20th, is Name Your PC Day. I've named my PC Joshua. I'm sure that'll cause no problems. Monday, November 21st, is False Confession Day, and I'll make a confession right now. I was the one who raised the briefcase on Stone Cold Steve Austin so that the McMahons could retain the WWE. I admit it. That is my false confession. Tuesday, November 22nd, is Start Your Own Country Day. Scott Holiday here starting his own country. Yeah, it's happening. You want to hear our national anthem? That hurts my throat. I should stop doing that. Wednesday, November 23rd, is Doctor Who Day, so be sure to cross your hearts and hope to regenerate. And Thursday, of course, is Thanksgiving. So thank you so much for joining me here for Plus 2 Wrestling. I hope you have a fantastic holiday. Be sure to subscribe right here to Plus 2 Wrestling so you can join me next time that we decide to talk about some professional wrestling. And I hope you have a great day.